Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Ogre Magi. Gacha Addict, the hero. Ogre Magi is a melee strength support hero with a variety of useful spells that all get amplified by his unique ultimate, Multicast. Fire Blast is a simple point target stun that deals a good chunk of damage, but when multicast halfway through the stun, it will cast itself again up to 4 times in a row. His Aghanim Scepter Unrefined Fire Blast gives him a second copy of this spell that costs 35% of your current mana and has the exact same effects. Ignite is a point target damage over time ability that hits multiple targets, but only one of which can be guaranteed. When multicast, it will target a variety of other targets, and if it hits the same one multiple times, extends the duration. Bloodlust is a temporary buff that grants both movement speed and attack speed, with special attack speed bonuses for Ogre Magi himself. When multicast, other random allied units in the area will also get the buff. You can use this almost like a horsewhip on your carry to make sure he farms faster. His suite of spells are relatively simple, but multicast adds a massive amount of spice to the hero, and, in the right circumstances, can win a game right on the spot with 8 Fire Blasts in a row. As for his Aghanim Shard, it's a total nothing burger. Part of me is literally convinced it doesn't do anything at all. The most use I found for it is that you can throw it on a creep wave so that when people clear out those creeps, it puts their Blink Dagger on cooldown. If that sounds worth 1400 gold to you, go ahead, dude. I'm not your dad. But if I was, I wouldn't let you do it. Now notably, in addition to Ogre's spells, Ogre himself is just a fat big old bitch. Assuming you're able to walk up to the enemy support in the lane and just hit them unimpeded, he's actually really good at trading, and Ignite Slow allows you to make that happen more often than you may think. He's also quite tanky in the early game, and he works great as a bodyguard for fragile range supports like Drow Ranger and the like. Just walk up to the enemy laners and force them to cast spells on you in order to make you go away. Think of your core as the juicy lobster meat of the lane, and you will function as the turgid shell, protecting it from the outside world. This play pattern makes Ogre Magi very easy to be angry at, and you'll often find opponents casting spells and using right clicks on you for no real reason at all. If you hit this stage of the lane, congratulations, you're doing your job very well. One of the funniest things that Ogre Magi can do is put your Blink Dagger on cooldown by 4 times casting Ignite on you, causing it to last for 32 seconds. That's enough time for it to come off cooldown and for him to use it again. Now, I talked a little bit about Ogre Magi's impressive base stats, but one of them stands out as being particularly shit. If you look at his int, you'll notice that it's 0, and if you go in game and buy null tallies or staffs of wizardry, you'll notice it stays at 0. All of this is due to his innate dumb luck, which caps his intelligence at nothing. Ogre Magi cannot gain int or use it in any way, shape, or form. Instead, he can use strength as int. Every point of strength you accumulate will increase your mana pool by 6 and your mana regen by 0.02. Unlike those other dorky support casters, you study at the gym. Now let's talk a little bit about Multicast, one of the weirdest and by far one of the funniest ultimates in all of Dota 2. Multicast is a staged passive, meaning that you unlock different levels of multicast as you put more points in it. Once you get your first point, every spell that you cast will have a 75% chance to multi up to 2. At level 2, it goes up to 3 potential targets, and at level 3, it's maximum of 4. However, I have intentionally not mentioned the absolute best part of multicast to you yet. The best part of it all is that it works on items. Any item that targets enemy or neutral units like Hand of Midas, Orc of Malevolence, Eul Scepter, Force Staff, anything, can be multicasted to work on multiple units at the same time. This makes Ogre Magi one of the very few position 5s in the game where it is not an implied throw to go Hand of Midas. This essentially turns Dota 2 into the slowest to grind gacha game of all time. Every time that Hand of Midas is up, you can waddle over to a creep camp or to a lane, pop it, and hope you get lucky. You might roll low and get no multicast at all, or you might roll high and get an entire level after scooping up 4 range creeps in one fell swoop. The possibility of getting a single-use Hand of Midas sounds frustrating, but believe it or not, Dota 2 has a built-in pity system to prevent this from happening. Thanks to PRNG, you can prep your Hand of Midas by using your other spells. If you use Bloodlust and don't get a multicast, you're more likely to get a multicast on the next opportunity to get one. So, pop Ignite on a creep wave, and if it triple multicasts, don't use your Midas. Ignite the range creep. If it doesn't multicast, you're good to go. It's a very strange system, and it encourages looking into the PRNG elements of the game, which I personally find quite interesting. But knowing the fact that there's a pity system built into Dota is hilarious. Go ahead and get your 4-pull and hope you get some SRs. Now, if all of this sounds quite appealing to you, first off, you have excellent taste. Second off, you'll be glad to know that you can play as either a position 4 or 5. Note that Ogre Magi as a 5 is best used as a bit of a bodyguard for those fragile ranged carries that I talked about earlier, But as a position 4, you want to pair up with an offlaner who wants to kill. Ogre Magi is very good at spamming his spells in lane, and it's nice to take a couple of mangoes with you to make sure that the Ignite train keeps rolling through the station. And throughout the lane, you want to try to box out with the enemy lane support. You can be pretty confident that your right clicks and spells will deal more damage to them than they can deal to you. So be sure to get in there and use your body to tank the enemy lane harass while also returning it in kind. You're going to spend the majority of your laning phase just casting Ignite on the enemy offlaners. Keep in mind that Ignite's secondary target is random, but you can try to put yourself in positions where both of the enemy heroes have the potential to be hit. Going into the mid game, if you look at the Dota 2 Pro Tracker stats, Ogre Magi's tend to stack a bunch of different defensive options. They still go Midas, but they use it to buy items like Aether Lens, Force Staff, Glimmer, nerd shit. What I say you do is screw all that, grab the Midas, pick up a bracer or two, and then go for the items in the bottom left corner. Offensive items that affect enemy heroes, especially if they're useful against multiple of them, are insane on Ogre Magi. Imagine a teamfight where you can just walk up and disarm 4 of them at the same time. Now imagine a Silence, a Hex, anything like that. Aghanim Scepter is also really good on the hero because it gives you the potential of what I call getting cleaned out at the casino. An Ogre Magi waddling up from the woods to 4x multicast you already sucks, but imagine if he did it again immediately. That's what Aghanim Scepter lets you do. If you ever get the 8x multicast, please take a screenshot of it and email it to me. With that in mind, use items as effectively as you can and treat the multicast as more like a nice little bonus than a mandatory I need to get this or we lose sort of thing. And if you ever get the 4x Hex, your mid laner is legally obligated to apologize for flaming you for buying a scythe. Now, Urn of Shadows is a really powerful item in the current meta, and you may already be thinking to yourself, I'll go that. Maybe it uses up additional charges, but applying Urn to a bunch of heroes sounds really strong. Unfortunately, it don't work. It will play the multicast animation, but it won't actually multicast. While it is upsetting to Ogre players, this is probably for the best. I wrote a little bit about PRNG and other RNG related effects in Dota 2. Feel free to read it if you'd like. Now, if you're having a hard time against Ogre Magi, there are a couple different things you can do to beat him. The first and most obvious is to stack magic resistance. There's a variety of items in the game that can help you deal with sustained or burst magic damage, and all of them work against Ogre because he's a mix of those two. Pipe of Insight is obvious. It not only protects you, but also your allies, and the aura is very nice for mitigating his insane Fire Blast damage potential. And Eternal Shroud is a much more selfish option, but a great choice for offlaners or anyone who wants to use more mana in the middle of the fight than they currently have available to them. Lotus Orb is a great choice as well. All of his abilities are point target, and even if you're not the primary target of Ignite, it will still bounce it back to him. Plus, activating it serves as a dispel to get rid of whatever he's already doing to you. Now, Ogre Magi also likes to buy a lot of strength, which means that he can be pretty persnickety to deal with. Any heroes that are classically good against high HP targets are generally a pretty good pickup here. Slark is good because you can not only purge a lot of his abilities, but you can also use him to stack up Essence Shift stacks. Lifestealer is born with a BKB and does HP % damage, and then heroes like PL and Naga Siren are good because most of Ogre's bullshit is single target. Plus, both of their illusion generators come with free dispels. Lastly, heroes that do a lot of physical damage can be quite good against him. CK, Wraith King, and Meepo all take advantage of the fact that Ogre Magi doesn't really have a lot of armor and doesn't have a whole lot of ways to build it. If they can all get on top of him, they can use their own lifesteal to sustain them while they beat him into the doit. Lastly, my personal preferred pick against Ogre Magi, if you can afford it in the draft, is Anti-Mage. Reflecting any of his spells back on him feels amazing, and the counterspell trigger on Ignite is pretty much free. As for Fire Blast, I don't know, dude, just get lucky, I guess. Finally, Pangolier is a great piece of tech against this hero. His innate makes it so that secondary effects of abilities and items are less likely to trigger. So, if you're near an Ogre Magi, you may mess up a couple of his Midases, and you're almost guaranteed to stop a multicast or two. In conclusion, Ogre Magi is very fun, and you should absolutely play him. Rip 10 pulls in the middle of a Dota game, and hope you get lucky. Then, use them to buy a Bloodthorn. Peace on planet Earth.